This is what you need to know now. Iran chooses a new supreme leader, the son of the former Ayatollah, 56-year-old Mojtaba Khamenei. Iran's new attacks on US assets and allies in the region. The State Department is now ordering non-emergency personnel out of Saudi Arabia. The explosive device outside the home of New York's mayor. The partial government shutdown, now causing long lines and delays at major airports. And a shooting at Rhianna's Beverly Hills mansion when she was at home. We have much more what you need to know now. I'm James Longman from ABC News. It's Monday, March 9th, and this is what you need to know. I'm in Erbil in northern Iraq. The war with Iran is now in its second week. Let's get right to the big story. Iran has selected a new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, the 56-year-old son of the Ayatollah Khamenei, who was killed at the start of the war. A shadowy figure, his name is perhaps the best known thing about him. He is understood to be close to both the Basij, the religious militia, and the Revolutionary Guard Corps. Israel has already said whoever is chosen will automatically become a target, and Khamenei is expected to follow the hard line of his father, meaning his election may not change the trajectory of this war. The regime seems not to have taken President Trump's view into account. He had dismissed him as a, quote, unacceptable replacement, telling our Mary Bruce that anyone who doesn't get his approval is, quote, not going to last long. US facilities across the Gulf have continued to take a battering from Iranian drones and missiles. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and the UAE all reporting attacks overnight. This government building in Kuwait City on fire. In Bahrain, dozens were injured in attacks, and a desalination plant was hit after Iran accused the US of striking a similar plant of its own. Desalination plants are essential for providing water to much of the Middle East. Tehran has inflicted billions of dollars worth of damage to US bases across this region, including important missile defense systems and radar. An Iranian official hinted Russian intelligence is helping them strike the US. Israel is targeting energy infrastructure inside Iran. This attack on an oil depot in Tehran sent poisonous smoke into the air for miles. Residents have been warned to protect themselves against toxic fumes and toxic rain. Many reportedly woke up with pain in their throats and eyes burning. Iran says more than 1,000 people have been killed there so far. And the other major front of this war, Lebanon, is expanding. More than 500,000 people have now been forced from their homes in Israel's campaign against Iranian proxy Hezbollah. Airstrikes continue to pound Beirut. The Lebanese health ministry says more than 400 people have now been killed. And President Trump says he's considering sending US special forces into Iran to seize the country's nuclear stockpile. US-Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities last June buried Iran's stockpile of uranium beneath rubble. The president says the Iranians have not been able to reach it. Another American service member has died in this war. Central Command says they passed away from their injuries sustained in an Iranian strike on a base in Saudi Arabia at the start of the war. President Trump went to the dignified transfer of the first 6 American casualties. Earlier, he signaled that more US personnel might be lost.
They're great heroes in our country, and we're going to keep it that way. There's always, when it comes to war, there's always that. But we're going to keep it to a minimum, I think.
Mary Bruce spoke directly with the president.
And James, as we learn of the death of yet another American, I spoke with the president and I asked him if witnessing the dignified transfers of 6 of the Americans killed so far in this war gave many pause about this operation. But the president was steadfast, telling me, quote, no, not at all. In fact, he said the parents of the fallen that he met with this weekend would be upset if he did that, adding that they all told him to, quote, please win this for my child.
US institutions around the world are on high alert. In Saudi Arabia, the State Department has now ordered all non-emergency government personnel to evacuate. And Norwegian police are not ruling out terrorism after an explosion at the US Embassy in Oslo. There were no injuries reported, although some damage was done to the embassy's entrance. New video posted online appears to show a US-made missile striking a building next to a girls' school in Iran on the first day of the war. Local officials say 168 people were killed at the school, many of them children. Experts believe the missile is likely an American Tomahawk, not known to be used by Iran or Israel. ABC News was able to geolocate the video adjacent to the site of that deadly attack. It also destroyed several other buildings connected to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. President Trump has claimed that Iran was responsible for the strike. The Pentagon says they're still investigating and they don't target civilians.
I would say that it's being investigated, which is the only answer I'm prepared to give.
The financial consequences of the war in Iran are now really hitting. The price of oil soared overnight, topping $100 per barrel. That's the highest level in nearly 4 years. The Strait of Hormuz off Iran's southern coast is nearly shut down. 1/5 of the world's oil supply flows through it. Gas prices are up 47 cents per gallon in the last week, to a national average of $3.45. And diesel prices are climbing even faster, which could mean higher shipping rates and more expensive jet fuel. That means airfares could be taking off. President Trump described higher fuel prices as a sacrifice, calling short-term oil prices a very small price to pay for safety and peace. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers are under arrest, accused of bringing an explosive device to an anti-Muslim protest outside the residence of New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani. The NYPD says one of them allegedly tossed the IED at the crowd. The device fizzled out on its own, but the police commissioner says it could have killed someone. A third device was found in a car a few blocks away. The teens are expected to face federal charges. And there were some scary moments at the Kansas City airport on Sunday. It was evacuated because of a potential threat. Authorities later determined it wasn't credible. And at other airports, travelers are now waiting in line for hours as the partial government shutdown drags on. A shortage of TSA agents, who are now working without pay, is being blamed for delays at security checkpoints at airports in Houston and New Orleans. Some passengers are being told to arrive up to 5 hours before their flight. No signs this will end soon. In Congress, neither side is budging in the fight over Homeland Security funding. And we have much more what you need to know. Now, some quick hits, stories ABC News is following today. Michigan's governor is calling for a federal investigation into why a tornado watch was not issued before a deadly storm struck on Friday. At least 4 people were killed. The National Weather Service said a watch was not issued because the storms were highly localized and difficult to detect. In Georgia, a high school maths teacher, Jason Hughes, is dead after a student prank went tragically wrong. 5 teenagers were toilet papering the trees outside of Hughes' home in a long-standing tradition. When the 40-year-old husband and father came out of the home, he tripped, falling into the road where he was run over by one of the teens. 18-year-old Jaden Ryan Wallace was charged with first-degree vehicular homicide and reckless driving. The 4 other teens were charged with criminal trespass. The Ford Motor Company has issued 2 voluntary safety recalls on more than 1.7 million cars. According to the company, an issue with Ford Broncos and Edges can cause the vehicle's camera displays to overheat and shut down. Ford is offering a free software update for owners affected. And a woman has now been arrested after allegedly firing an assault rifle at singer Rhianna's home in Beverly Hills. Police said Rhianna was home at the time. It's unclear if her partner, rapper A$AP Rocky, and their 3 children were in the house, but there were no reported injuries. Police said about 10 shots were fired at the house. 5 bullet holes could be seen from outside. A 30-year-old woman was taken into custody minutes after the incident. And now, one more thing before you go. Sunday marked International Women's Day, with thousands of marches in streets across Europe and around the world. Equal pay, reproductive rights, and violence against women, all a main focus. And as the war rages in Iran, women around the world have been posting on social media in support of those inside the country. Many remembering Mahsa Amini, the 22-year-old who was killed in police custody and whose death in 2022 prompted widespread protests. The regime has imposed an internet blackout ever since the start of this war, but the messages people have managed to get out all describe a desperation for an end to the Islamic Republic. And that's what you need to know. For breaking news and live updates throughout the day, check out ABC News streaming on Disney+.
New episodes streaming every day on Disney+.